Archaeologists speculate exploding meteor could have destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. This is by Christine Favocci, Western Journal and W&D. The Bible describes why God unleashed his wrath on the ancient cities of ancient Israel, Sodom and Gomorrah, the city where Lot lived, the nephew of Abraham, the patriarch. But archaeologists have explained in a 2018 study how they think it happened, which may offer unique, relevant insight into the ways of the Creator. In the book of Genesis, it's also included in the Torah and the Quran, is an account of the cities whose sin was so depraved that God meted out immediate justice. Abraham tried to intercede on their behalf, pleading for God to spare them even if there was only 10 good people left in Sodom. God agreed and sent 2 angels to meet Abraham's nephew Lot there, the 2 angels of the Holy Trinity. There were 3 that went to visit Abraham. 2 went off and visited Lot in Sodom and to be witnesses. And we know the Old Testament says there has to be at least 2 witnesses. So 2 of the angels went. Now Lot took the angels to his house to give them hospitality to spend the night. That's when the wicked men of Sodom came after them, wanting to know them. And knowing means having physical contact with them, obviously. And you understand what I mean. Largely understood as wanting to have sexual relations with them, proving their sinfulness and justifying God to go ahead with the destruction, but not before warning Lot to flee the city with his wife and daughters. Now then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah sulfur and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew those cities and all the valley and all the inhabitants of the cities and what grew on the ground. But Lot's wife behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham went early in the morning to the place where he had stood before the Lord, and he looked down towards Sodom and Gomorrah and towards all the land of the valley, and he looked, and behold, the smoke of the land went up like the smoke of a furnace. This is on Genesis 19, verses 24 to 28. The sudden cataclysmic event the Bible recounts seems to be supported by findings from the Tel El Haman excavation archaeological site in Jordan, believed to be where ancient Sodom and Gomorrah stood. Actually, the ancient Sodom and Gomorrah is supposed to be under the Dead Sea. Now, Philip J. Sylvia, an archaeologist from Trinity Southwest University in Albuquerque, New Mexico, who is the site's field supervisor and director of scientific analysis, presented findings from the team's 13 years excavating the site at the American School of Oriental Research in 2018 annual meeting, when the team discovered that was a cosmic airburst event in the area of where the city is thought to have stood, occurred some 3,700 years ago, according to their paper. The 3.7 KABP Middle Gore event, catastrophic termination of a Bronze Age civilization. And I just want to put my comment in here. That's just about the same time that they had an asteroid impact in southwest Egypt. And they believe that that's what caused such a change in the atmosphere and the environment, that they started having, besides the impact, they also had volcanic eruptions and earthquakes. Now, because of that, it supposedly started a chain reaction of changes in the atmosphere. It could have been volcanic winter, the volcanic ash causing famines and change in climate as well. Now, the researchers here, the article goes on to say, the researchers found that the Middle Bronze Age towns and cities that stood north of the Dead Sea in the area known as Middle Gore, Ghor, included what are thought to be the biblical cities were obliterated in an instant. The topsoil stripped bare with the superheat brine of Dead Sea and hydrite salts pushed over the landscape by the event's frontal shockwave. As remember that Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt. Now they found that the heat was so intense, clay and rock melted into glass, which researchers concluded meant debris was exposed to between 8,000 degrees Celsius and 12,000 degrees Celsius for less than a few milliseconds. The area was so decimated, the paper said it would be more than half a millennium before civilization could once again inhabit the area. Science has a precedent for this sort of event as recently as 1908, when the Tunguska River area of Siberia experienced a similar cosmic airburst, which happens when a meteorite explodes upon entering Earth's atmosphere, according to NASA science. The Tunguska event stripped vegetation for 800 miles of forest, and eyewitnesses reported that it rained fire from the sky. Although these are both natural phenomena, the fact does not disprove God's hand in the event that destroyed the ancient cities, but actually hints at the way he can use natural phenomena for his purposes, or simply leave nature to its own devices. During times of plague or pandemic, folks who fall on either side of the theistic belief will use it as evidence for or against God, but the natural world shows us it is both and situation. Natural disasters were sometimes used as punishment in the Old Testament, but they also fall randomly upon mankind as a consequence of brokenness ushered in by man's first ancestors, Adam and Eve. Conversely, the cures that science has brought to humanity are sometimes enough, although occasionally miracles cure disease with seemingly no rational explanations. God is personally interested in everyone's lives, but seldom cuts sinful folk down with a zap from heaven. Instead, the Bible and science tell humanity that it's mainly within the confines of nature that God's work is done, and whatever events transpired leading up to their destruction, the people of Sodom and Gomorrah were lustful, sinful, and prideful. They were so rich and haughty that, of course, they did not turn their thoughts to God's commandments. Now, God could have spared the city, but he perhaps permitted the exploiting meteor since the citizens had turned away from all that was good. Whatever the reason the city was destroyed, the lesson conveyed therein is that where only 10 good people are left, God could still settle his favor upon the whole city, and Americans should take that to heed that. Now, are there 10 people in your city that you believe can hold the city in God's favor? Are you one of them? I hope you are. I hope I am too, although sometimes I feel that my faith is dwindling. I hope that God gives me stronger faith. This is by Christine Favocci, Western Journal. It's on W&D. If you'd like to join me on my Patreon account, you will hear content not covered by mainstream media. These riveting stories will be based on my research, and I will state my opinions and give my personal insight on diverse and controversial subjects and world events not covered by mainstream media, and not supported by YouTube guidelines. So whatever I have on my Patreon, most of those will not be on my YouTube channel. Please consider becoming a member today. More of the most significant and important videos will be on my Patreon channel. Your support helps me to continue my research and keeps this YouTube channel alive. And we depend on your support, your generous charity, because we help economically challenged families here in Athens, Greece, in Kapota, and we also help the young generation with university tuition and the community around our church. Thank you.